All right, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons about starting a pest control company and or starting a bedbug business. Now, if you're thinking about starting a pest control company, you can go one of two ways. You can go and decide to treat for like ants, spiders, roaches, and rodents, or you can niche down and just do bedbugs only. Now, I built a bedbug business, scaled it to over $800,000 a year, and recently sold it for a multi-six-figure exit. And to be real with you, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. But that doesn't mean that pest control is a bad idea. So in this video, I'm breaking down the pros and cons of each model. So by the end of this video, you'll know which one fits you best. And if you want my free step-by-step guide on how to start a bedbug business, it's going to be down in the description below. All right, round one, let's talk about the pros and cons of a bedbug business. So for me, it came down to three things: profit, competition, and urgency. So number one, high ticket jobs. Unlike pest control, bedbug jobs typically range from anywhere of $1,000 for the job up to $3,000. Whereas pest control, it could be $100 to $150, and you got to do quite a few customers to make the same amount of money as a bedbug job. Number two, less competition. So unlike pest control, where you're going up against the Orkins and the Terminix, if you're looking against other bedbug only companies, you'll find in a specific metro area, there's typically only a small handful compared to the dozens and dozens of pest control companies that are out there. Now, my third reason, the demand. Bedbugs people can't live with. Ants, spiders, roaches, they can all get pushed off to another day for the most part. But bedbugs, people want them gone yesterday. And because it was so urgent, that meant I was doing less selling and just more closing. And my fourth reason that I think was the biggest indicator to go with the bedbug route is it was very low overhead. I didn't need to hire an admin or multiple technicians to help me out to actually make some money. On my first month, I was able to make $20,000 even when I knew like nothing about bedbugs. And I feel like that's the same route I could do if I were to start it again today, probably making $30,000-$40,000 by myself just because I know exactly how I did it. But now the cons. So this is the part that is a reality. There is no reoccurring revenue model like pest control. So every bedbug job in theory, it's a one and done type of thing. The only variable to this is if it was a property management account and you were building that kind of rapport where all the bedbug jobs that they ran into, you became their first call. So you could build up some accounts that way. The other thing too is that you can build relationships with pest control companies to where you're their number one call when it came to doing like a bedbug heat treatment. But for the most part, there was no reoccurring bi-monthly service on homes like you would get from pest control. The second con is it is physically demanding. So you're lifting heavy machines day in and day out, carrying heavy fans, moving stuff around, furniture to expose these areas where the bed bugs are hiding. So unlike pest control where you might be spraying the exterior of a house, you're doing quite a bit of heavy lifting. And this third reason of a con, I don't know that it really is a con. I kind of liked it because it was what I thought of as a barrier to entry. So bedbug jobs, to do a heat treatment, you got to buy a lot of equipment. You got to buy a van. This can put you back, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 depending on the route that you go. So the expense to start one up is a lot higher. However, because of that entry point where you can't just go and buy a couple $100 sprayer and anyone can do it, the startup costs just super high. So now that you know the deal about bed bugs, let's talk about pest control. Now, this is the route that most people go, and it's typically for good reason, but I'm still going to give you the pros and cons. One thing is the reoccurring revenue model, which I described was a downside for the bed bug business, being that you sign contracts with customers and you're typically coming out every 2 months. You can predict the income you're going to be making the next month, which makes it easier to scale when it comes to hiring employees. Of course, if you want to go that route, a lot of pest control guys that I've dealt with over the years, they're a one-man show and they've kept it that way for 10, 20, 30 years because they have no intention of trying to manage employees or whatnot. Number two reason, there is a large customer base. Pretty much every house and business out there has the potential to become a pest control client, unlike bed bugs, which means bed bugs, it was an urgency based on they have a need. There was a demand for it. Pest control, you can send door knockers to go knock on your neighbor's doors and they will be sold on pest control without even technically needing it. The third reason is it is easier to scale with employees. So just like reason number one with the contracts, if you can get to 200, 300, 400 customers, it's much easier to predict your income the following month so you can hire employees to take on the work for you. Now, there's a pro and a con to that because the pro is that yes, you can scale to a very large business. The con is it is a lot more work when dealing with employees and managing all these expectations with customers. So having a system in place is the big differentiating factor. And the fourth pro, and the reason why I think a lot of people get into it, is because the low startup cost. Typically you can use your own personal vehicle and you need a sprayer and some chemicals. If you're doing rodents, you need rat traps, you need some bait stations. There's not a whole lot to go into it in comparison to bed bugs. So one pro is if you have no money and no way of getting into, we'll say, debt or financing to get bed bug equipment, this is a very viable option. But here's the problem. Pest control is highly competitive. If you Googled a pest control company to see who's around you, you're going to find a list 50 long, and that's because everyone is doing it. So if you don't have a very strong marketing plan, it is hard to stick out and gain those new customers. The second con is its low pricing. So like I talked about for the Bedbug Pro, as far as pest control, you're talking about charging $100 per stop, which means if you service 12 customers a day, you make $1,200. Whereas compared to a bedbug job, you could do one $2,000 bedbug job and you make $800, and you only had to help out one person. Now my third con is one that I can speak on from having friends that have done this before. So scaling and being able to sell the business, going from like yourself to 10 technicians, 20, 30 technicians is really where you want to be to sell a pest control company. Whereas in a bedbug world, I was able to sell my bedbug business with 4 employees, which includes myself. So technically 3 employees plus me, and made an exit, which would be comparable to an actual pest control company who might have had 10 employees. So I felt like it was easier to scale that, manage the 3 employees with the systems put into place compared to a pest control company, which you'd have to get a lot more employees to sell for the same exit that I was able to experience. So to put it all together, which business makes the most sense for you? If you want to be a solo operator and keep a lot of profit, the bedbug business is the way to go. But if you want to have 10, 20 employees and build this thing up to become really scalable, a pest control company is the way to go. Do you want steady and predictable income? Again, pest control is the way to go. If you want to start fast and start making profit as quickly as possible, a bed bug business is the way to go. Now for me, I wanted more profits, less competition, and more freedom. And that's why I went with bed bugs, and it paid off. All right, so who wins this debate? I'll let you guys decide. Now, if you're serious about starting a profitable bed bug business, I did put the guide in the description below, completely free, so you can learn to see if it is something that makes sense for you. And let me know in the comments if you're leaning towards the pest control company or the bed bug company. I'd love to hear your thoughts.